Transmutation by George Washington Carey. Part 12, the Purification Process, and Fleshology. Support the channel and future growth. Make sure that you give the video a thumbs up, like, comment below, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure that you hit the little bell to receive all new notifications, and donate if you're able. All links are listed below. We know from intestinal fermentation that methane gas is produced. That is CH4, 1 atom of carbon, and 4 atoms of hydrogen. Hydrogen is the #1 element that all other elements are derived from, so this will create everything that does exist. By using hydrogen in one way, you could term it, quote, spirit, end quote. Hydrogen provides the fuel for the internal combustion. This is all I will say for right now. But to quote the key, you are a Christian because Christ is within you. But you are also a Jew because Christ is a Jew, end quote. Behold, thou art called a Jew, quote, for he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly, this is important, but he is a Jew, which is one inwardly, end quote. Romans 2:17. Christ is raised from the fruit of the loins to sit on his throne. Acts 2:30-31. In the male, the fruit is the sperm. The basic cycles are the same in the woman. Luke 8:11. The seed is the word of God. This is all that we will say at this time, and it gives you plenty to put together and think about and go over again and again. The human race has been asleep and has dreamed that property and money are the true wealth of a nation, sacrificing men, women, and children to the chimerical idea that danced in visionary splendor through their brains. The result of this is to be seen in the uneasiness that prevails everywhere. But humanity is waking up, slowly but surely, and beginning to realize that it itself is the most precious thing on earth. It is the legitimate work of man to take the perfect material everywhere present and build. By the perfect law of chemistry and mathematics, the perfected, harmonious human being, and with this material, employ the same law to build up society collectively. According to the views of students of modern alchemy, the Bible, both the Old Testament and New Testaments, are symbolical writings based primarily upon this very process of bodybuilding. The word alchemy really means fleshology. It is derived from chem, an ancient Egyptian word meaning flesh. The word Egypt also means flesh or anatomy. The ancient alchemists studied the process of nature in her operations from the volatile to the fixed, the fluid to the solid, the essence to the substance, or the abstract to the concrete, all of which may be summed up in the changing of spirit into matter. In reality, the alchemist did not try to do anything. He simply tried to search out nature's processes in order that he might comprehend her marvelous operations. To be sure, the way language was used to us seems symbolical and often contradictory, but it was not so intended, nor so at all in reality. We speak in symbols. If a man is in delirium caused by alcohol in his brain, we say, quote, he has snake in his boots, end quote. Of course, no one supposes that the words are to be taken literally. Yet, if our civilization should be wiped out, and our literature translated after 4,000 or 5,000 years, those who read our history might be puzzled to know what was meant by, quote, snake in his boots, end quote. Again, it has been believed by most people that the words, quotation, Transmutation of base metals into gold, end quotation, used by alchemists referred to making gold, but a careful study of Hebrew cosmogony in the Kabbalah will reveal the fact that the alchemist always referred to the solar rays when he used the word gold. Quote, base metals, end quote, simply means matter or basic. The dissolving or the disintegration of matter, the combustion of wood or coal, seemed as wonderful to these philosophers as the growth of wood or the formation of coal or stone. So, the transmutation of base metals into gold simply meant the process of changing the fixed into the volatile, or the dematerialization of matter, either by heat or by chemical process. It is believed by modern students of alchemy that the books of the Old and the New Testaments are a collection of alchemical and astrological writings dealing entirely with the wonderful operation of aerial elements, spirit, in the human body, so fearfully and wonderfully made. The same authority is given for the statements, quote, know ye not that your bodies are the temple of the living God, end quote, and, quote, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give ye rest, end quote. According to the method of reading the numerical values of the letter by the Kabbalah, M and E figure B when united. Our B is from the Hebrew bet, meaning house or temple, the temple of the soul, the body. Thus, by coming into the realization that the body is really the Father's house, temple of God, the soul secures peace and contentment, or rest. The human body is composed of perfect principles, gases, minerals, molecules, or atoms, but these builders of flesh and bone are not always properly adjusted. The planks or bricks used in building houses may be endlessly diversified in arrangement, and yet be perfect material. Solomon's temple is an allegory of man's temple, the human organism. The house is built, always being built, quote, without sound of saw or hammer, end quote. The real ego manifests in a house, beth, church, or temple, i.e., soul of man's temple. The solar, or S-O-U-L-A-R, plexus, is the great central sun, or dynamo on with which the subconscious mind operates and causes the concept of individual consciousness. The brain of man is the Son of God, the mediator, or medium, between the central dynamo and the cosmic ocean of space. Thus, digestion or combustion of food, circulation of blood, in breathing the breath of life, the aerial elements, is carried on by the cooperation of the Holy Trinity, God, the solar plexus, the sun, the brain, and the holy or whole spirit or air. No wonder that the seers and alchemists of old declared that, quote, your bodies are the temple of the living God, end quote, and, quote, the kingdom of heaven is within you, end quote. But man, blinded by selfishness, searches here and there, scours the heaven with his telescope, digs deep into the earth, and dives into the ocean's depth, in a vain search for the elixir of life that may be found between the soles of his feet and the crown of his head. Really, our human body is a miracle of mechanism. No work of man can compare with it in accuracy of its process and the simplicity of its laws. At maturity, the human skeleton contains about 165 bones, so delicately and perfectly adjusted that science has despaired of ever imitating it. The muscles are about 500 in number. The length of the alimentary canal, I'm assuming they mean by alimentary where all your ailments occurs, and it must be the intestine because it's 32 feet in length. Amount of blood in an average adult, 30 pounds or 1/5 the weight of the human body. The heart is 6 inches in length and 4 inches in diameter and beats 79 times a minute, 4,200 times per hour, 100,800 times per day, 36,720,000 times per year. At each beat, 2½ ounces of blood are thrown out of it, 175 ounces per minute, 656 pounds per hour, or about 8 tons per day. All the blood in the body passes through the heart every 3 minutes, and in a time span of 70 years, it lifts up to 270 million tons of blood. The lungs contain about 1 gallon of air at their usual degree of inflation. We breathe on average 1,200 breaths per hour, inhale 600 gallons of air, or 24,000 gallons daily. The aggregate surface of air cells of the lungs exceeds 20,000 square inches, an area nearly equal to that of a room 12 feet square. The average weight of the brain of an adult is about 3 pounds, 8 ounces. The average female brain, 2 pounds, 4 ounces. The convolutions of a woman's brain cells and tissues are finer and more delicate in fiber and mechanism, which evidently accounts for the intuition of women. It would appear that the difference in convolutions and fineness of the tissue in the brain matter is responsible for the degrees of consciousness, called reason and intuition. The nerves are all connected with the brain directly, or by the spinal marrow, but the nerves receive their sustenance from the blood, and their motive power from the solar plexus dynamo. The nerves, together with the branches and the minute ramifications, probably exceed 10 million in numbers. The skin is composed of 3 layers and varies from 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch in thickness. The average area of skin is estimated to be about 2,000 square inches. The atmospheric pressure being 14 pounds to the square inch, a person of medium size is subject to a pressure of about 40,000 pounds. Each square inch of skin contains 3,500 sweat tubes or perspiratory pores, each of which may be likened to a little drain-like tile. There is not known in all the realms of architecture or mechanics one little device which is not found in the human organism. The pulley, the lever, the inclined plane, the hinge, the quote universal joint, end quote, tubes and trapdoors, the scissors, grindstone, whip, arch, girders, filters, valves, bellow pump, camera, an aeolian harp, an irrigation plant, telegraph, and telephone systems. All these and 100 other devices which man thinks he has invented, but which have only been telegraphed to the brain from the solar plexus, the cosmic center, and crudely copied or manifested on the objectively canvas. No arch ever made by man is as perfect as the arch performed by the upper ends of the 2 legs and the pelvis to support the weight of the trunk. No palace or cathedral ever built has provided with such a perfect system of arches and girders. No waterway on earth is so complete, so commodious, or so populous as that wonderful river of life, the quote stream of blood, end quote, the violin, the trumpet, the harp, the grand organ, and all other musical instruments are mere counterfeits of the human voice. Man has tried in vain to duplicate the hinges of the knee, elbow, fingers, and toes, although they are a part of his own body. Another marvel of the human body is the self-regulation process by which nature keeps the temperature in health at 98 degrees, whether in India with the temperature at 130 degrees, or in the Arctic regions where the records show 120 degrees below the freezing point. The temperature of the body remains the same, practically steady at 98 degrees, despite the extreme to which it is subjected. It was said that, quote, all roads lead to Rome, end quote. Modern science has discovered that all roads of real knowledge led to the human body. The human body is an epitome of the universe, and when man turns the mighty searching of reason and investigation within that he has so long used without, then the new heaven and earth will appear. End of part 12. Watch the playlist for part 13. Fleshology and purification process continues. Again, make sure that you support the channel by giving the video a thumbs up, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Love yourselves and love each other unconditionally.